Guidance provided by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The previous discussion covers the directives of Hajj and Umrah. However, the guidance received from the practices of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this regard is as follows. Ihram. When putting on the ihram, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would sprinkle some perfume on himself. Aisha narrates that she sprinkled the perfume of musk on him before he put on the ihram, and also on the 10th of Zulhajj when he took off the ihram, when he departed to Mecca to offer the tawaf. She is reported to have said, "Even today I see the glow of the fragrance where his hair parted." Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami as-Sahih, page 249, hadith numbers 1538 and 1539. While wearing the ihram, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had scarification done, had his hair set, and also washed his head. He also allowed people to tear their socks from below the ankles and use them as shoes in case they did not have shoes to wear, and also allowed them to wear shalwar or pajama in case they did not have unstitched cloth. He did not approve of a person getting married or a person having someone get married or finalizing a marriage while wearing the ihram. If a person dies in the state of ihram, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has directed people to bury him in this state and has stopped people from sprinkling perfume on him or covering his head or face while burying him. He informed us that God will raise such a person on the day of judgment while that person is reciting the talbiyah. He similarly explained that no doubt hunting animals is forbidden in the state of ihram. However, such a person can eat the animal which has been killed by someone who is not wearing the ihram on the condition that he did not suggest or indicate to him to hunt down the prey. He also explained that this prohibition of hunting animals does not relate to harmful and dangerous animals. Such animals can be killed in the state of ihram without any hesitation. Talbiyah. Regarding the talbiyah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said, "When a Muslim utters the words labbaik labbaik, then the trees and stones to the right and left of him till the end of the earth also say these words." Ibn Majah, Sunan, volume 3, page 425, hadith number 2921. Consequently, he is reported to have said, "Gabriel the trustworthy has directed me to say these words loudly." Abu Dawud, Sunan, volume 2, page 168, hadith number 1814. Ibn Umar radhiyallahu anhu reports that when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would go out for Hajj and Umrah, he would pray 2 rakat at Zul Hulayfa, then get on a camel near the mosque. When the camel would stop, he would begin reciting the talbiyah. Tawaf. There is only one tawaf of Hajj, which is called a tawaf-e-ifada. However, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has directed the pilgrims to offer another tawaf while offering Hajj and Umrah before they return to their homes. Ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu narrates that the Prophet is reported to have said that before departing, the last thing every one of you should do is this. Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami as-Sahih, page 283, hadith number 1755. Women, however, who are passing through their menstrual cycles have been exempted by him from this and have been permitted to depart from Mecca without offering it. Before beginning the tawaf, the Prophet ﷺ did wudu. Aisha narrates that during her menstrual cycle, the Prophet said, "In this state, you can offer all the rites of Hajj except the tawaf." Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami as-Sahih, page 267, hadith number 1650. Salama radhiyallahu anha says, "I was ill when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told of this. He asked me to offer tawaf on a conveyance." Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami as-Sahih, page 263, hadith number 1626. Jabir ibn Abdullah radhiyallahu anhu says that when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam offered the first tawaf after reaching Mecca, he ran in the first 3 rounds while shaking his shoulders, and in the 4 remaining rounds he walked the way he used to walk. Then he advanced towards the Maqam Ibrahim and offered 2 rakat while standing behind it. He then came back towards the Hajar Aswad and did the istilam and went off towards Safa from the door. Ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu narrates that during this tawaf, his right shoulder was uncovered and he had covered his left shoulder after inserting the ihram cloth through his right armpit. Some narratives also mention that he did the istilam of the Rukn Yamani during the tawaf. Similarly, among the blessings of the tawaf, as recorded in certain narratives, is that he who did tawaf and then also offered 2 rakat, it is as if he emancipated a slave in the way of God. Sa'i. The manner in which the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam offered the sa'i was that once he was through with the tawaf, he went off towards Safa and climbed right to its top. Then he faced the Qibla and declared the oneness and sovereignty of God and declared, La ilaha illallah wahda, la sharika lah, lahul mulku wa lahul hamd, wa huwa ala kulli shayin qadir. La ilaha illallah wahda, anjaza wa'dahu, nasara abdahu, wa hazama al-ahzaba wahdahu. There is no God but Allah. He is alone. No one is His partner. Sovereignty is His, and all praise and gratitude also is His, and He has power on everything. There is no God but Allah. He is alone. He has fulfilled His promise and has helped His servant, and alone has defeated all groups who have rejected the truth. Muslim, Al-Jami as-Sahih, pages 513 to 516, hadith number 2950. He repeated these words 3 times, and in between he also invoked the Almighty each time. Then he set off for Marwa, and when his feet touched the slope, he started to run, and as soon as he reached the incline, he reverted to his own gait. At Marwa, he repeated what he did at Safa, and in this manner completed 7 rounds. Wukuf at Arafat. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ set off for Arafat from Mina after sunrise on the 9th of Zulhajj. There a camp had been erected for him in the valley of Namra. He resided in this camp till the sun started to decline. Then he came to the lower part of the valley and delivered a sermon to the people. Following this, he offered the Zohar and the Asr prayers with 1 adhan and 2 takbirs. He did not offer the optional prayer either before or after them. Then, near the Jabal Rahmat, he stood while facing the Qibla, invoking and beseeching the Almighty till sunset. Anas radhiyallahu anhu reports that on that day, people kept reciting the Talbiyah and also the Takbirs, but no objection was raised against these practices. Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami as-Sahih, page 269, hadith number 1659. Aisha radhiyallahu anha narrates from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on the day of Arafah, the Almighty is near His people. He expresses His pride about them and does not liberate His servants from fire any more than this day. Muslim, Al-Jami as-Sahih, pages 568 and 569, hadith number 3288. Stay at Muzdalifah. At Muzdalifah also the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam offered the Maghrib and the Isha prayers with 1 azan and 2 takbirs, the way he had offered the Zuhr and the Asr prayers at Arafat. Then he rested till dawn and did not offer any optional prayers. However, he offered the Fajr prayer a little early. He then stood by the Mash'ar al-Haram and kept invoking and beseeching the Almighty till the day fully dawned. Just before sunrise, he set off from there and reached Mina while briskly crossing the valley of Muhassar. Rami. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did Rami at mid-morning on the day of sacrifice and on the other days when the sun started to decline. For this he faced the Jamra with the sacred mosque on his left and Mina on his right. Then he hurled 7 pebbles and recited the takbir each time he threw a pebble. He also did Waquf near the first 2 Jamras and after Rami, expressing his gratitude to God, declaring His exaltedness and oneness, and invoking and beseeching him for long. However, he did not stand near the Jamra Aqaba. On this occasion and on the 8th of Zilhajj also, when he came to Mecca from Mina, he shortened all his prayers as long as he stayed here. When certain shepherds of the area asked permission to spend the night with their herds instead of spending it at Mina, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ allowed them to do so and said, "After hurling pebbles on the day of sacrifice, you can hurl the pebbles of the 2 days on one day." Animal sacrifice. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ offered animal sacrifice in the usual way. However, a question arose that if the animals of Hadi came near death during the way, then what should be done? It is narrated by Ibn Abbas anhu that when a person who had been sent by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ with sacrificial animals inquired from the Prophet ﷺ, he answered, "Slaughter them and dip their hooves in blood and place them near the humps, and then neither you nor your associates should eat their meat." Muslim, Al-Jami' as-Sahih, page 557, hadith number 3216.